Hey there, new types. We have wrapped up the first new type challenge mission of 2026, and now we're preparing for mission 2. The meta has become more known, and once people have gotten over the initial shock of blurple and blue red commands, the other decks and color combinations are starting to catch up and adapt. Blue white in particular has been seeing a lot of success through this recent NTC after it started to include the full armor unicorn Gundam. So I thought I'd give it a try this weekend, and honestly, it didn't disappoint. Shoutouts to my local game store and community of players who let me set up and record my matches, which in turn enable me to put them up on YouTube. This isn't a particularly lengthy match. However, if you're just here for the deck and breakdown, then feel free to skip the gameplay and move on to the Yap session at the end. If you're enjoying the content, please consider giving the video a like and a follow. And if you're so inclined, comment below with anything, be it questions, suggestions, or criticism. I try my very best to interact with everyone who does, and I love seeing all the interaction as well. But in the end, I'm just happy you even clicked the video. Now, let's get this battle going. Mission start. All right, so I'm starting this up in the middle of a mulligan. My opening hand was not fantastic. An overflowing affection, a show of resolve, two RX-78s, and a Corsica base. Felt it was a little too slow, so I do throw it back. Fortunately, my opponent is also mulliganing, so, maybe we both have an equal bad hand, especially after our mulligans. I did lose the dice roll, so I am going first. So my opening hand is actually three overflowing affections, Corsica base, and an ale strike, which, you know what? I could have had a worse hand, all right? This at least lets me hopefully get set up for turn 3 or my level 3 turn. Not the worst. I draw into a banagher, which is good. We like the banana man. My opponent passes, doesn't give me anything to work off of what he's playing. So, being at where I'm at, I'm just gonna start dumping those overflowings. An RX-78 and a full armor. So I dump one of my overflowings and play another overflowing. I get my fourth overflowing and an amuro, so I just decide, all right, we're dropping that overflowing and we're committing to the Corsica base next turn. My opponent, though, plays a Hyakurin, and now I'm a little concerned about my dedication to Corsica on curve. Uh, Not expecting my Talgis token to be long for this world, but a card is a card. So we play out our Corsica base, take a card from our shields, which was another Ale Strike, which not the worst since we're basically going to be at level 4 next turn and do have a launcher in hand. As I suspected, Talgis wasn't long for this world as it gets Fatal Strike. And then my opponent plays out a Otarubi, takes a swing at my base, passes the turn. Could have gone worse. So I'm now at level 4, and I did get a Lefrith in hand. But I've decided it's probably best now to play out the launcher strike. Pass my turn. Oh, and it takes a swing at my base with my launcher strike. Just kind of trying to buy some turns to the next one. Plays out a Ryusei Go, pings it, and then I believe he's just figuring out the order of operations here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically we came down to the Ryusei Go effect happens, it pings itself, he draws a card first, then discards a card, and then he triggers Hotaru after. Gets a laughter in there, so we already kind of knew he was on Lupus once he played the Hotarubi down. And then he plays an Adapt onto a naked board. We get to 5, and I draw a Rick Diaz. Not the worst card to get at this point. I don't really want to commit my RX-78 and Amuro just. So I just decided to get some bodies on the board first, kind of hope that they survive a turn. I get those two down and pass the turn. My opponent is now at his level 6. Plays out a Gusian Rebake. Pings my Lefrith with that. And pings itself. And triggers the Hotarubi. And unfortunately for him, discards a Hotarubi off the top of his deck. And passes the turn to me. Well, I'm now on my level 6, which is a pretty good time for me, especially since I did just draw that Lefrith. So I'm able now to play out my Grapple Gundam, play out Amuro, rest his Gusian, and then use my Rick Diaz to take out his Gusian for 4 damage because of the RX-78 AP buff. And then I use my Grandpa to take out his Hotarubi, and play out my other Lefrith and pass my turn. Opponent swings in with his You Say Go. I block with my healthy Lefrith. Plays another Hotarubi out. Plays out another Ryusei Go, pinging it, drawing card, discarding, I believe that's a Ryue. Yep, it is. And then Hotarubi to mill a first form, which is unfortunate for him. He takes a swing at my base. I block it. Give him the ability to ping out my remaining damage on that Lefrith. And then pass the turn there. We're getting into that Lupus turn. I'm being mindful of what he can possibly get here. I go full armor with my Banana Man. I drew into the Unicorn, which is very interesting. Or the Destroy mode, sorry. I take out his Adapt. And then I use Unicorn to take out his Hotarubi. Then I just play out my second Lefrith, or I guess my third Lefrith at this point, and pass the turn. Curving out fairly well here. Heal my RX-78. We'll see what he does here. I believe this was his Lupus turn. So he takes a swing at RX-78. I decide to block with my damaged Lefrith. He plays a Hotarubi out. That's his 4th, I believe. Plays out the Lupus, uses his EX resource, puts Mika on, pings his Adapt, and then pings my initially pings my Lefrith, but then changes it to the RX-78. And mostly because he has the 6 in his graveyard to ping it down. Takes a swing at my base. I opt not to block it, especially since I do have a Corsica in hand. So I'm a little apprehensive of getting damage on my Lefrith, only because I'm not sure what he could possibly have. So part of my game plan now is to just try and keep my guys as healthy as possible for maintaining board control. I do start us off with an Ale Strike on the board. I am debating on whether or not I bounce the Adapt or I put Kira on my Lefrith here. Um, Ultimately, I do decide to put Kira on the Lefrith. So I take a swing at the Adapt, keep my Lefrith nice and healthy, and then I take out his Holy again. I do have a blocker up, and I believe at this point I just passed the turn, debating on that Corsica base. Now, because I hadn't seen a second color yet, I am a little spooked that he might have Wing Zero. So, right here, I actually decide not to play the Corsica, just in the off chance he's got the Wing Zero on curve. He does ping my with the Lupus, and then there it is. It is the Wing Zero. So he sends Lupus into my shields. And I lose Unicorn Destroy mode. I drew a Grandpa, but now that he's played out the Wing Zero, I actually decide this is the time to play out that Corsica. That gives me a Kira. Yeah, it is Akira. So this is, I think this is where I end up trading my Unicorn for his Lupus. For any more shenanigans can occur. And I take a swing at his shields. I play out the destroy mode, and then I pass my turn. Opponent plays down a Gusian Rebake, pinging his Wing Zero and killing one of my Leos, and then he plays the and kills another Leo. And then plays a Mika to finish off my Ale Strike. Rough turn, man. Dang. So he does decide to swing with Zero, takes out my base, and then swings with the Adapt and takes out a shield. Through a Launcher Strike, which is pretty good for me. I play it out, play Akira onto it. So I swing at his Wing Zero, tapping down his Gusian. And then I swing into his Gusu with my launcher strike and play down a ale strike and pass the turn. Opponent takes a swing at my shields and gives me a Corsica base. I decide I do want to see if I can get in there with what I have at 2 shields. So this is kind of my alpha swing moment. And I was worried about a Lupus coming in, so he doesn't have enough yet to kill things, so I drew a full armor off the top, which is perfect for my banagher. I play full armor, I pair it, or link it rather, with banagher. And then I drew off the top here the amuro. So I have this in pretty good lock. I take a swing at his shields, take another swing at his shields, and swing for the win with launcher strike. But I did have the amuro and Gundam. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that match. I thought it was pretty fun. It was definitely an interesting showcase of the deck, including that 4 overflowing affection draw. I think the one card you didn't get to see in this deck was the Justice and also the Unicorn mode, the Unicorn Gundam, the non-full armor one, the one-off in the deck. Otherwise, this deck is really, really straightforward. There is nothing too crazy about it. It's not anything super, super weird, aside from the Unicorn Destroy mode. Now, you might notice other lists are running the level 8 full armor in place of that. I opted not to because I do really like the Unicorn mode, and I do like the way it functions in the current meta. So I decided to put a little small package in there. I upped my banagher count, and I wanted to see how it worked. And in this video, it worked out. In the past, it hasn't, but I do still like having that extra ability to just swing, sacrifice, play out the full the destroy mode, and then play another banagher on it and swing again. Um, However, it's super cute. It's not something that's absolutely necessary, and I think maybe there's some more consistency in just having the full armor level 8. Totally up to you in the long run. I think you do free up more slots because I think you can drop your banagers down to 3. You can probably drop the unicorn mode from that. Um, and I am running Justice in this list. Again, there's a lot of other cards you could be running. You could be running more bases. You could be running um, Healthy Curiosity. You could be running Unforeseen Incidents. You could be running Striker packs. I don't really like Striker Pack right now because a lot of decks are just running a bunch of Ale. In my local meta, people are running Awaken Potential. So I'm just not running those tokens right now as too often. I do feel like Justice works out because it's still just an efficient body, and I don't really feel too bad losing a 2/2, but losing a Tall Geese token early does hurt. And as you saw in this video, I played my Corsica base on curve, and I think I was kind of punished for it. So you can take that as you will. Now, the core of the deck, I think, is pretty obvious. You've got your blocker core, you've got your Lefrith, you've got your Rick Diaz, you've got your launcher strikes, and you've got your Ale strikes. Um, there has been arguments actually amongst players and personally myself. I don't know how long Rick Diaz is going to be in a deck like this. However, because I was lacking other options, I decided to keep them in because I do like having 8 level 3 2 costs. Um, because I do prefer having my overflowing affections later in the game rather than earlier in the game. Especially, not to get 4 at once. Not salty about that at all. But other than that, the core is super simple, right? Then you have your amuro with your RX-78. You've got your full armor unicorn, and I think that card is incredible. I think maybe 3 is too little, 4 is probably better, to the point where maybe that um the non full armor version, the 4-3, is just better as that. I did put it in there. It was relevant for a couple matches because it still allowed me to do the unicorn into destroy mode combination and have a banagher. But late game, you because you have 4 banagers in this game deck, you don't actually worry too much about having 2 banagers at any given time. You tend to actually have them more often than not. Now, um, I do think that the pilot count is high, which is why I'm running 4 overflowing affections. I have seen lists that are running like 2 to 3 overflowing affections or none at all. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but they are running a lighter pilot count. I think if you're a crazy man like I am and running 12 pilots, you want the overflowing affections. If you're going down to like 9 to 10 pilots, I don't think you need overflowing affection. Just max out your show of resolves or play a healthy curiosity show of resolve package, because Banagher is actually a pretty good draw piece. He draws cards because you do tend to link him more often than not. But I don't think I need to yap too much beyond that. Like, the list is very, very obvious with what it does. You've got high value with Corsica base and Justice, and you've got your card draw with Show of Resolve, and then Banagher and Overflowing Affection generally just help you keep the cards flowing. And then Amuro, Gundam, blockers, easy peasy. But I think that's it for now, guys. I do have another deck cooking, and because we are in new type challenge mission 2 season, or prep for it rather, I'm gonna be doing a little bit more experimental builds. And again, I really hope that this isn't like guys looking at this and saying, "Oh, you got to run this list." I want you to take my lists and I want you to put your own twist on them for the most part, because your local meta will be different than mine, your playstyle will be different than mine, and honestly, some of the wacky stuff that I am trying is, um, with ratios specifically, it's probably not the final form of a lot of these decks. Like again, the unicorn mode, um, unicorn is just probably not worth running. I'm running it because I think it's cute, and it's also um what was just an experiment. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. I'll see you in the next one.